Yo, what's up guys? How is everyone doing? Let me just pull up the chat real quick. That's one thing I forgot to do before we got started here. Guys, today, we've seen some interesting price action from Bitcoin. I've messed this up completely. Am I even live? I hate when this happens. Hold up, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I mean, I've been putting out a lot more posts recently, a lot more than real quick, that's one thing I forgot. Okay, let's make sure that doesn't happen. You know, a lot more than I usually do. That has come with a lot of benefits, but today it's also extremely clear that it's came with significant costs, something which I'm not very happy with. Guys, you've seen my results over the past month or so. It's been, pretty much 100% correct with everything I've called. I've been neutral at the right times, I've been bearish at the right times and all those types of things. Really just making myself sound like a massive brag at the moment. And it feels good being on a very good, perfect streak like that for a long time. But, guys, when you're at a stage like that, and you have one loss, you have one missed call, it hits you pretty hard because you're just not used to it. So it wasn't in terms of losing money for me. I mean, like I said, I went short. I even sold some of my Bitcoin today right at the bottom. It was about 57.99, something like that. You didn't catch the beginning for some reason. That's unfortunate. I'm not sure what you missed, but that's okay. We'll just carry on from here. So, like I was saying, my results have been really good, and being on a streak like that, it feels great, but when you get one loss, when you get something that doesn't go as planned, I'm suddenly getting spammed right as I go live. Isn't that amazing? You get a loss like that, you mess up, and then it hits pretty bad. So it didn't hit in terms of losing money. Like you guys know, I'm always laddering into positions. I've made those mistakes many times where I go fully into one position with my whole entry all at once, and then, it turns out 20 minutes later there's a 50% better entry. You know what I mean, right? So that didn't happen. But it's more of like breaking my streak of doing pretty well. This was a result of overanalyzing. I wanted to bring this up right at the beginning with you guys, just so that we're abundantly clear. I'm getting so many messages about how I'm honest, and that's a great change of pace, and I'm really trying to keep that up here. Which is why, like I said, overanalyzing, not a healthy thing to do, especially at the short-term chart. And guys, the reason for that is I've had a lot of pressure. Like smashed, amazing, Alpha BMW. I've been having a lot of pressure to constantly deliver now because, as you guys have seen, the channel's doing pretty well in Telegram and all that. So I'm glad I caught this floor early. I'm glad I stopped. I had to stop. I had to think, all right, Sammy, what went wrong here? So I was able to work that out. And really, it was just a result of overanalyzing. So I'm kicking that all to the dust now. That's not going to happen again. But guys, let's go over to the analysis here. I've bored you enough with that little disclaimer. So what we've seen is, like I mentioned yesterday, a bit of a rising wedge. I expected that to only play out for a maximum of 24 to 48 hours. And then within 24 hours, we did break down pretty decisively. We bottomed out at 57.99, something like that. Josh, you're honest, thank you. Welcome, all of you. I forgot to say that today. So we bottomed out, at 5,800. And guys, what that means is you've seen this support line. That means we've reached all of the supports we have now. The next one is going to be 56, then we're looking at 54, 51, and then into the 4,000. So extremely bleak. The triple bottom has failed. And so you saw my post, which was pretty negative. I was saying, the hope I had, the short-term, mid-term bull bias. I didn't even have a bull bias, but anything I did have is now removed. Because we've seen that all of those support lines have actually failed. And really, we don't have anywhere else to go. Yeah, it has started. Are you guys for real? Hold up. And so you saw my post, which was pretty negative. Yeah, it is live. There are no issues. Hold up. Yeah, I mean, while I'm finding this, so the deal is we dumped a little bit, and we dropped all of those support lines. So guys, what could still play out? Yeah, it has. Okay, stream's perfect, so it might just be on your end. what could still play out is that we rally or we range here for a little bit, we go sideways, whatever the deal is within this range, you know, 5,800 to say 6,400. That's a pretty big range. It's $600, but it's fine. Yeah, perfect, guys. So we could be going sideways here a little bit, and then, you know, get a bounce. Maybe this goes on for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, similar to what it did in April before we got that massive market pump, you know, 6,000 to into the 8,000s. Something like that could definitely happen and still mean that the triple bottom is intact. Because, guys, bear in mind, it's a relative triple bottom. You know, we go over to this daily chart. We can fall anywhere within these levels. We can even fall a little bit below, which is what we did today, and then still make a recovery and play out this triple bottom and really fully reverse. And the reason I'm saying that here, of course, is we've got CBOE, CBO futures closing on the 29th of June, and CME futures opening on the 2nd of July. So they're all very close to each other. To recap, I had a question about this in our Discord channel, Discord server rather, my bad. You guys can find that in the Telegram channel, a link to that. This is very confusing. You know, December the 17th, that's when Bitcoin reached its all-time high, 19,500 around about there on Coinbase. And that was also the day that CBO futures started. So that was something that had a lot of hype around it, but as we now know, that's where all the hardcore manipulation started, which really kind of just wrecked the entire market and is still wreaking the same havoc as it has since the beginning. So with those futures, there are some theories going around that, you know, at the beginning, these people have been driving the price down because they want to accumulate whatever they do. I think those theories are thrown out the window now. People don't give them much thought. A lot of people now, the sentiment is there are no institutional investors and no one's interested in the market. So it could, you know, it may be the case that they don't even want to accumulate it. They've just been shorting it to make money. Whatever the deal is, that's okay. But since that futures sort of series is ending now, CME is opening at the same time, you know, just 3 days later. And then we bear in mind we're at the relative triple bottom area. This is decision point, right? Anything can still happen. So we can still, once these futures close and open, we can still get a complete market reversal and go bull. And I do think that's very possible. I'm not throwing that out of the window. But we have failed our final support line. I mean, 58 wasn't even a support area. You know, it varies from exchange to exchange, but yeah, 9 more likes if we can hit 50, that would be amazing. Got 200 plus people in here, absolutely amazing. YouTube told me 4-5 is live, don't worry. Thank you. Thank you, Raheem. So, you know, we could still get that triple bottom. Now let's talk about this more, you know, short-term price movement. This is really interesting, obviously. It's been an interesting day. You know, we've the good thing to note here, you guys have seen my Telegram post about it, obviously, is when we did bounce, we bounced with volume, and this is the first time we have done so for a very long time. So let's go back to the 4-hour chart here. We've got just an hour left on this candle, but already we can tell by this volume bar, it is the highest volume buy we've had for a while. And especially at a crucial decision point like this. So that is a really good sign. I mean, if there was any time to get a big volume buy, it was right there at 5,800, which is a good sign. But I'm not banking on this. You guys have seen the title of the stream. Bitcoin is showing false signs of strength. Guys, the reason for that, 53 likes, you are all amazing. The reason for that is we had that pump and I was watching it live. I was actually in a phone call with one of our VIP members, but I was still watching it live as we were speaking, and it jumped from, you know, 5,800 all the way up to 6,200 very quickly within the space of probably 2 minutes or something. But there's an important caveat to note with this volume pump, and it's that it all happened from bots. So I was watching it, it was very typical bot behavior. The order spread on the order books was mad. The first sell order was at 6,200 and the first buy order was at 6,050. That is $150 difference, which is just huge. We never see that. It's always a $1 difference on BitMEX or Bitfinex or whatever you want to look at. For Bitcoin, it's always a $1 difference on the order book, but we saw 150. So that's a typical sign of bots doing their action. The exchange can't keep up with the order book, and so it just freezes, and it shows you that massive space for arbitrage, which obviously wasn't real. But once that happened, nobody followed through to drive the price higher. We didn't get a retail pump. We didn't get whales jumping on, after the bots to start buying Bitcoin and signal that this is the bottom. Everything just fell off a cliff again. All right. And so the price action is good in that we had a relatively big volume buy. But it just looks like a reaction rally. So if we look at the RSI, it was very low. We were at a reading of, in the 20s, which is obviously quite oversold. That's, Bitcoin doesn't stay there for too long. And as you can tell, we're now, just literally right in neutral territory, 46. 50 means exactly neutral. So this just looks like a very typical correction in the short term. And guys, especially since nobody followed through with it, somebody asked me a couple streams ago a really good question. What are my targets for volume in terms of a reversal on this trend? And I said I would like to see $25 to $30 billion volume. And guys, right now we are at $16.5 billion. It's okay. All right, this volume is counting going down from about 6,200 to 58, but also now going back up from 58 to 62. So a lot of this volume is sell volume, but a fair bit is also buy volume. All right, dominance decreasing just a little bit from my post earlier today about alts not doing well. So alts, the whole market has seen a bounce. We can see it on this 7-day chart that we're looking at right now. But the volume still isn't good enough. I said I was looking for $25 to $30 billion volume, which means double where we are right now. And at 16, it's not much. Following that initial bot pump, and so I just don't have confidence that this is going to stick. And guys, in tying in with that, not only the price action being very indecisive, but also the mistake I made today, very rare as you guys know, I've decided this still isn't a good trading area. All right, I've been saying it from the beginning, but I went against my principles. That 250% profit obviously got to my head. I got a little bit cocky, very normal. But it's still not a good trading area, and for that reason, I'm staying back after that misfire. Obviously, I didn't lose much. I hope you guys didn't either. It was a very small mistake, only $400, of course, but it's a reason to always ladder positions, and it's something you guys should bear in mind. Now, I want to go over to this 4-hour chart with the EMA ribbon. So, guys, exponential moving averages, these take the average prices of the previous candles. So if we look at the 21, just hiding that and putting it back on for you, that's the past 21 prices, giving you the average and then giving more weight to recent price action. So exponential moving averages, we've got about 10 or so of those, I think, and this creates an EMA ribbon, so it looks really nice and it tells us a lot of useful information as well. And what that is its resistance. So typically, when we've got something like this, we can see how when we are below the ribbons and we hit up, we test these ribbons and we get sent back down. So it tells us about resistance and it tells us about support. So when we're above the ribbons, we fall back into them. It acts as support, but obviously the overarching sentiment was negative, and so we drop down below. Very bearish sign. So we can see it continuing. When we're below, we hit the ribbon, we go down, hit the ribbon, go down. So guys, we've hit the ribbon right now. You already worked out what's probably going to happen here. When we factor in that nobody else followed through with that pump, it was just bots doing their own action to liquidate shorts and longs, in this case shorts. Let's actually check them out. Guys, I've been warning you of moves like this for a very long time. I just completely saw this coming. I just didn't think it would happen once we breached 58. I thought that was going to stick, but we have got shorts decreasing a little bit. Obviously, they've been on an absolute rip in recent days. We drew that cup and handle, which was quite funny. Is this even the right chart? Yeah, it is, but it looks different for some reason. So yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. We go back to Bitcoin here. We're still in this resistance area. I can see us going sideways a little bit and then continuing our way back down. No matter how you look at it, this is still either a rising wedge or a bear flag, my bad. So it's still not looking good. If anything, this is an area to pile on more shorts. I don't have much faith that this is going to stick around, unfortunately. But guys, of course, my long-term outlook hasn't changed at all. I'm still long-term very bullish on Bitcoin. The fundamentals line up to tell us the same story. And I always like to go back to this log chart for the weekly trend. And guys, yet again, it's a very clear falling wedge within an uptrend. So a lot of people aren't seeing this, or they respect that I've pointed this out, but they have counter arguments to it, and that's completely fair. If that's how you feel, perfect. None of this is financial advice. You already know that, but you know, the way I'm seeing this, it's just an opportunity to accumulate more Bitcoin before our next leg up. And yeah, that's pretty much all of my TA done today, guys. So I am ready to go through your questions now. Seeing a lot of comments here. I doubt if it goes below 5,700, otherwise miners will be wrecked. Yeah, they will, and there are serious problems for miners going on right now. So it's got to stay aware of that. It's gonna become centralized, I think, if we continue heading down. It's a very serious issue. Need to keep on staying aware of that. Are you bullish on Litecoin, Hammy? I'm not bullish on anything until Bitcoin is bullish. So no, I'm not bullish on Litecoin. Mine to Moon, you're awesome, bro. Good to see you. Thank you so much. You're awesome too. It's obviously a wedging bear flag. That's a new one. Haven't heard of that. Upside down. Wait, what? Okay, I think that's just satire, right? Upside down cup and handle with Bitcoin under the cup. That's just amazing. I've never heard of that before. How high will it go before it drops? I think 68. Let's go back to the 1 hour here. No, actually, let's go to the 4 and turn this log chart off. So I think 6,400 is the highest it can go. And I can see it going sideways here, maybe climbing a little bit slowly. You know, like I keep on saying, I really wouldn't be surprised if we get sideways movement, or maybe go downwards back to, say, 58, maybe 56. Like I said, that 1% and 3% rule, very, very important. I can see us going down, or just, you know, staying within this general, say, $500 or even $1,000 massive range. But, you know, this kind of area, I can see it happening until June 29, until July the 2nd, and then give or take a few days, I think we are going to get some pretty good confirmation of what's going to happen. And it's at that point, if you're still feeling undecided, if we don't get a pump by then, if we don't get anything indicating a sentiment shift, of course I'm going to be covering it for you guys daily as it develops. But if we don't get any bullish signals by then, say by July the 5th, maybe you want to start considering laddering out, or reducing your positions, or shorting, whatever you want to do. It will all come with time. We're taking this by the day. We're making profits daily. It doesn't really matter what happens in the long-term trend. Of course, like I say, I think it is bullish, but it doesn't matter because our approach here is to make profits on a daily basis. Michael Baker, how can I get your VIP package? How can I contact you? Good question. So the link in the description, t.me/cryptomafia gold, that's my Telegram channel, and you can just hit me up there. You'll see my username at the bottom of most posts, and you can just message me there at 4flies. I'll give you all of the details for VIP. Doing absolutely amazing. The feedback I've been getting has blown me away, for real. It's amazing. July month, $8,000 to $9,000 range. I can definitely see that happening. And then, you know, August being the one that sets us off, I can see it playing out, definitely. Yeah, that comes in with my long-term look. It's still possible, I think, that we go to the low 5,000s, we test it, maybe we jump back up. But what we're seeing right now, what we need to see right now is big buy volume, and we're just not getting it. So, like I said, this is why I think it's a false sign of strength, because this isn't going to stick around, and this volume was just bots, all right? It wasn't real investors, real traders coming along and pushing the price higher. Once the bots were done, the price has stayed stable exactly where it was. You know, the bots stopped doing their bot action. The high frequency trading bots stopped pumping it when it got to about 6,200. And guys, we're only $30 down from there. So yet again, there are signs of retail investors, retail traders, whatever you want to call them, not taking any action. And that's still a bearish sign, all right? I mean, there's still no agreement that we are going up. And there's a lot more agreement that we're going down. $5,500 bottom. I can see that happening. How many VIP prices? I will message you about them in Telegram, so hit me up there and we'll talk about that. I hope it goes to 1,000. Then with $10,000 I can buy 10 Bitcoin. Yeah, Joe, that would be pretty good. I don't think it's going to go to 1,000 though. If we do complete this bubble pop, I see 3,000. 3,000 as being the absolute bottom. I don't even think we'll go that low, but if we do, that's where I'm putting my money. 1,000 would not be a bubble pop completion, actually, because that's where it's already popped, if that makes sense. It could prove a support, but I just don't think it will. All bot lives matter. Bcash and Ripple, only real coins. I shill shit coins. Isn't that just so fitting? I love it. Happy Sunday, bud. Made an 85% gain shorting EOS. Congratulations there, the Kirk. Amazing. Bitcoin could hit $4,000. One panic mode selling is all it will take. Yeah, Joe, good point. So I wanted to cover this capitulation. So we get a stream of bad news. I saw Jordan Belfort's video. And he was talking about how it's all going to go to zero and all that stuff. And what's going to happen to start that off is, or maybe not to start that off, but on the way down, there's going to be a series of very, very fuddy articles, things like exchanges being raided and, you know, just very, very bearish FUD news to drive the market down. And that's what could really lead to a series of capitulation candles and take us right down into the 4,000s. Very, very possible. We'll just have to wait and see when that comes around. Josh, end of year prediction. Look, I've answered these questions too many times, and my answer is always the same. It's that I have none. Alright, I'm taking this by the day. Josh, can you go over the 1 to 3% rule that you mentioned in gold? Yes, I can. So, if we were to drop below 5,800, and I should have practiced what I preached here, actually. This is the line we've... Actually, this is a wrong line. Let me... Why is that not in place? Okay, there we go. That's good enough. So, no, that's not good enough now. Let's readjust that. Okay, perfect. So, the 1% rule would be, if we dropped below and you want to short or you want to sell your Bitcoin, you would wait for us to drop a further 1%, which would lead us to a price of 5,730, or you would wait for us to drop a further 3%. And you can do anything in between as well. So, that means you would wait for at least a further $70 drop to at least what is this, a $100 drop, something like that. So within a range like that, if we drop even further to those levels, that's where you know, okay, we've got confirmation that we are heading down, and so it's at that point that you can sell with confidence. And so if something like this does play out, you wouldn't have shorted, you wouldn't have sold, and so you wouldn't have made that mistake. I genuinely feel like Bogdanov was watching us and was and was pumping it accordingly. It's happened before, actually. It's just you know, it's typical price movement. People still positive about the Binance coin, by the way. Robert, yeah, I saw Binance very briefly. I think it was today, and I saw it was down, so that kind of gave me some happiness, because it just has to go down at some point. And this looks like a very bearish chart. This is a double top with 2 further double tops within them. So that's 4 double tops in total, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I didn't count that right. That's 3, something like that. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, no, it looks bearish. But it will depend probably on what Bitcoin does. It just looks like Binance has ran out of its steam now. It's been running while everything else has been declining, and it can only go on like that for so long. So I did expect something like that to happen. But we all know Binance is a very, very strong exchange. It's a strong coin. I've got very good... I feel very good about it. Some alts still holding strong. Yeah, I mean, some are going to do well. So Dig is one that I'm in, which I sold completely today. And that saw a nice pump. Let's check where it's at now. I mean, today is a day I have considered starting to get into alts, which I'm sure some of you will be relieved. I mean, yeah, 1,800 sats. This is about where I sold it. The liquidity on this is terrible, so when I tried to sell it, it did kind of dump the price. And I wasn't even selling that much. It was very, very little. So there were some issues with Dig in that respect, but 2014 comparison, $3,000. On this note of a... Got my reminder there to buy a new phone. On this note of, you know, 2014/15, the bubble pop, I don't mind comparing these trends, alright? Because I understand it's completely different now, but it's still the same asset. It's still Bitcoin. there's only one thing I want to point out, all right? I don't think we're following 2014. If we are, we're following at a much more accelerated rate. What I want to look at is this triple bottom that we had forming over, you know, the first 8 months or whatever of 2015. So we got one bottom here, a second, potentially third if you want to count that, but I'm counting them as one, and then a third bottom. My mouse is just isn't that like technology? So, you know, we've got this triple bottom here. This was after a pretty substantial drop. Let's actually calculate how low it dropped. So that's a 80% drop, and right now we're at, what is this? So 71. If we were to go down to 80, we're looking at, God, this is terrible. We're looking at exactly $4,000. Okay, so that's if we do follow the same complete bubble pop cycle, which 2014/15 did play out. Went from $1,000 to a bottom of what, $200, which is, yeah, an 80% correction. So it would be a repeat if we drop down to the same levels again, but this is a relative triple bottom. It's equally spaced out. It's within an established downtrend, and so the same thing has been playing out here. And guys, the same, you know, the line I like to draw, the important thing to note, the distinction actually, not the line to draw, is that 2014/15 is a very long-term, drawn-out, exhaustive bubble pop cycle. It lasted for 2 whole years before it made a recovery, whereas right now we're seeing a much more faster, accelerated price movement. If this is a triple bottom, we have reached there in a fraction of the time it took to reach it last time, and so that means the bounce, the reversal, while it's going to be slow, is going to be coming very soon. It lines up perfectly with this June 29 and July the 2nd prediction. Now, in addition to that, you know, the drops we've been having, the double tops, all of these patterns have been playing out at a much faster rate. If we look at the percent dropped, let's see when it hit 71%. It was about here. Yeah, it was somewhere here. And this took a period of 300 days, alright? So nearly a year, whereas it's taken us 180 days, give or take. Probably a bit more than that now, maybe 200 days, let's say. So 200 days compared to 300 days, we're still going at something faster, like, I don't know, 1.5 times faster than 2014. This trend is playing out much faster. That's my overall point I'm trying to get across to you guys. And so, yes, I've compared the trend for you, and I think it's good news when we compare that trend. So, there's no more bearish sentiment for me in terms of that. Like I said, when we look long term, I don't have any predictions, but bullish. That's what I am for the long term. Going to take a few more questions and then start wrapping this up, guys. Short squeeze, Richard, we just had that going from 58 to 62. We could see another one, like I said, we could see a very big one, similar to what we had previously, but I do think shorts would have to pile up significantly further. If we look at the longs, there are still more longs than there are shorts. And of course, this doesn't tell you anything about the volume of longs. There are 3,000 more longs, but it could be that each of these longs are just worth $1, whereas each of these shorts are worth 10. So that's information that we don't have, but I do think we're going to have to see a significant lead for the shorts before we get a massive short squeeze. And that's going to come with further downwards movement. It's going to take us much lower, unfortunately, if it does happen. Bitcoin and ETH has too many whales. I mean, yeah, all coins have whales, unfortunately. Thoughts on NEO? It's been dropping more than other alts. Yeah, NEO drops pretty hard. NEO runs hard. It runs in its own time like Litecoin, but it drops very badly as well. My thoughts on it is it's an amazing coin, and when I do start getting back into alts, NEO will be one of those long-term holds that I'm just going to buy and forget about it, put it in cold storage, and when it pumps, I'm going to come back and look at it and really just examine when we could be seeing a top. I'll start selling small amounts of it on the way up, and that's my plan with NEO. It's an amazing coin, really, I do love it. One of the first, I mean, Ant shares, I was around back then. I loved it from Ant shares, and I love it now as it's NEO. So, yeah, I think it's one of the good ones. I'm shorting EOS all the way down, the max bottom. Yeah, you want to be careful with that. If you've already got good profits like the Kirk, I think you said like 95% or something, 85. You know, when you've got good profits, don't get greedy. At least take your original investment out, your original position, and just trade with profits. Best way to go about it. But yeah, do make sure that you're taking profits along the way. You know, taking profits never made anyone poor. All right, so don't, you know, sure you might miss out on gains, but it's better than being at a loss, isn't it? Josh Cooper, cheers mate, wish I could buy you a pint for the help, top man. I can't be drinking a pint at the moment. That'll take another year or so. But in Europe, I mean, it's so relaxed. I was talking to someone else about how kids start drinking at 5. What does the Ichimoku cloud look like now? Good question, Joe. Let's check out the Ichimoku cloud. It's far away at the moment. So it's not a threat to us per se yet. I can see us going, you know, this just lines up so perfectly. I mean, you know, look at, this is the 29th, all right? Guys, this is textbook, all right? So, 6,400, that line I think is pretty important. It's not because it's been breached, but it still has some relevance, and also this cloud. So, I can see us, you know, climbing slowly up within this rising wedge. Let's count this drop down to 58 as an anomaly. It can happen. And then we get rejected by the cloud. Maybe we form another double top like this. Very, very plausible, all right? And then, you know, this is the deciding point. So, who knows? I mean, I'm saying we could turn bearish around these significant futures dates, but maybe we just, sorry, bullish, but maybe we turn more bearish when they, you know, when CME opens again. Maybe they want to drive this right into the ground. Maybe they, I don't know. I don't have those answers. You know, I'm putting information forward to you guys, and you can make your own decisions. Let's see what else we've got. Please check out weekly Bitcoin Ichimoku. I did that last stream. It doesn't tell us much. So, you know, we're in this very, very small, you know, it's not really even a cloud. Next week is when it opens. We'll be right in the middle of that, so it could act as support. Again, next week is that futures closing date. Probably stressing this a bit too much. It might be getting annoying now, but we do have good support over here. So if we can get back up into the $10,000 range, we could definitely bounce up. What's the 29th? That's when SIBO futures close. You might want to watch the start of this video. It's pretty important. Joe, thank you. No problem. Do people in your Telegram group invest in any altcoins? Jared, I can't speak for them. The things I call have not been altcoins recently because altcoins have been absolutely shitting themselves. And we haven't been enduring any of those losses. But yeah, like I can't speak for them, but I haven't been calling them. Going to the top, no stop. That's a nice name. Shall I sell? That's up to you to decide. What else have we got? Anyone can buy and print the news. So get rid of all alt positions. I can't say your name. You know, this is the time, like I said, where I've been considering getting into them. So if you haven't sold by now, it might be too late. You might just want to stick it out and wait. But I think I'm 100% Bitcoin, right? I can't remember, but I've got to be close, if that's any help. But yeah, I mean, if it were me, I would sell the altcoins. I would sell all of them. Guys, we can smash those likes real quick. Get one more of those like pumps. Yeah, let's call them like pumps. Let's pump those likes real quick. Have you noticed how strong IOTA has played against Bitcoin? Let's check IOTA out. One of the coins I do really like. I mean, it's not particularly been strong. It's been declining against Bitcoin, and any decline against Bitcoin means a decline in USD and in Bitcoin. So it definitely hasn't been strong. You can short this on Bitfinex. And if you do, you just short it every time it hits this EMA 13 on the 4-hour, you're going to make some good profits. So you might want to do that, anyone who's opportunistic in that way. Let's check it out against the dollar, though. Yeah, it's still, I don't see strength here, unfortunately. Edgar, congrats 4 flies. I remember when we were 5 people watching. Edgar, yeah, I remember you as well. No, thanks for real. It was very, very bad streaming at that time. It felt pretty bad, but I knew things would turn around. And it did. So thank you for that, Edgar. You're an OG. I'm going to be sad if Bitcoin goes lower than 5,800. Yeah, man, so was I, honestly. I mean, I'm making jokes about it, but that's just how I'm coping with it. It's sad, for real. I mean, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, so I don't like seeing that either. Tom A, until it passes 10,000 barrier, or if then, it is not safe to invest in the long term. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for confirmation like that, 10,000 is a good level, but that seems like you'd be more of a passive trader or a passive investor, and that's completely fine, but it's just not the way I do it. Linda, lots of talk about Linda. I've never heard of it. Walton Coin. I think we've fallen into the trap of looking at alts a bit too much. I mean, still, it's so weak falling against Bitcoin. Same story, guys. Same story. Okay, let's check out Linda. This must be like the 20th comment on it. Like I said, I've never heard of it. I mean, I know there's a site. I mean, it's 30 mil market cap, up 5%. I think you guys are making a bigger deal out of it than it deserves. No, I mean, you know, small caps can pump like this. I might have to check. I know it's a good coin. I've heard a lot of good about it, but I'm still not looking at alts, especially alts I haven't heard of. Not really keen on that at the moment. Oh, okay, right, you're talking about your girlfriend. Sure. Bitcoin going down to 1,000 and then the next couple months. And the next couple months. Maybe. I don't think so, but it's possible. Let's see if the volume has gone up a little bit. Refresh this page. Well, that's not going to work, is it? But, yeah, I mean, still 16.5, market cap dropping slowly. It's been a good sign, guys, today with this big volume buy. It's just that nothing followed through with it, and so there is a lot of very relative weakness here. I'm not a fan of that at all. Guys, if you have any final questions, I will be taking them. VIP's been doing absolutely amazing as well, guys. If you are interested, hit me up. I'll get you in the Telegram channel if you're not already in there. Daily posts. I'm not going to make the same mistakes I have putting too many posts out, which reduces the quality. I'm going to stick to what I've been doing these past few weeks and make sure mistakes like that don't repeat. Guys, if you're not following me on Twitter, hit me up at Sammy_loyal. All my shit posts there. Could you elaborate on how you calculate stop losses when long and shorting? Yes, I can. So, really, when let's say I'm going short, all right, I'm going short at 61.68. What I'm going to look for is having my stop loss being just past a crucial resistance point. So for me, that's going to be 6,400. Let's say I don't think we're going to go above 6,400 at all. I would put my stop loss at, say, 6,450. It's a little bit further than that resistance point, so maybe we do get one weird pump. It takes us up there. My position doesn't get liquidated though, and then right after that pump, it dumps to the ground. That stop loss has me covered. So in the event that it really does turn out to be a real market reversal, my stop loss will mitigate that loss, alright? I'm still going to endure a loss, but it won't be a big one. But if we get a fake buy, a fake pump that takes us up there and then right back down, my stop loss is high enough so that it doesn't get triggered. So that's what I look for. I don't do it in terms of percentages. For example, a 10% loss and then I have a stop loss. That's not how I do it. My stop losses are always just past important support or resistance lines. That's what I always advocate. VIP members also get exact stop loss numbers. Really does help take the work out of their hands. Of course, you still have to do your own due diligence. None of it's investment advice, but that's how I operate for that. Michael, I messaged you on Twitter. Yeah, I did see that DM. I'll get back to you right after the stream. Got a few more messages as well. I will be replying to all of you. In this state, if Bitcoin hit $1,000, only Bitcoin and ETH and Binance will remain. Yeah, it's possible. Alright guys, yeah, I will be rounding this up here though. It's been a wonderful 39-minute stream. I do hope you found some substance out of this. You found something useful. Getting a lot of good feedback about these streams. 500 viewers, absolutely amazing, guys. Yeah, I mean, if you're not already subscribed, definitely do that. Super excited to hit 20,000 subscribers. Never would have thought I would do that a couple years ago, but your support is really showing to be quite amazing. Am I calling a bottom? I'm calling a potential bottom. Yeah, a potential one, yeah. But guys, yeah, with that, hope you've found it useful and all that good stuff. Smash those likes one last time. But with that, I'm going to be signing off. Peace.